The book is called Durbar, and it's a political memoir that is basically a denunciation of a ruling class that has ruled India since 1947, but it's really a denunciation of my own generation of Indians, who I believe, we're the first generation born after independence. I was born in 1950, and Rajiv Gandhi was the prime minister of our generation. So it's, in a sense, a denunciation of us as a ruling class, because I believe that we were the most colonized generation ever, and that we really let India down for that. And it's told through the story of Rajiv Gandhi, and it's that period of his life. It begins with his assassination and ends with his assassination, really. So although it seems as though it's a story about Rajiv Gandhi, it's actually a much bigger story. It's what I've tried to do in the book is to show the disconnect between the kind of people who have been ruling India and India itself. I didn't really need to. I've been a reporter for most of my years as a journalist, and I've reported on a great deal of events of of immense importance in that period. So I've covered wars and elections and Operation Blue Star and the beginning of the Kashmir problem, etc. So I mean, there aren't that many books written on that period. The emergency, for instance, comes into the book, but there are very few books on the emergency. So really, it's a political memoir that seeks to fill a vacuum. We should have had many more books in that period, and we don't. It goes really from about 75, when I became a reporter in The Statesman, and I became a reporter a month before the emergency was declared. And on a personal level, that helped me a lot, because I realized that the most important thing in journalism was politics. And it was kind of a complete introduction to political India, the emergency. And it goes from there till the death of Rajiv Gandhi. No, they were just very tawdry, ordinary people. Rajiv Gandhi had been a pilot most of his life. And it really is a comment on political leadership in India. A lot of people have picked out the bits about Sonia Gandhi. I knew her personally during that period. But to me, the fact that Sonia Gandhi, an Italian housewife who's been apolitical for most of her life, should be the most important ruler in India I mean, it's a bigger comment on the state of political leadership in India than anything I could have written in Durbar. But basically, I see it as an attempt for us to try and understand what has gone wrong with political leadership in India. No, I don't think it has a prescription. I don't think books should have a prescription. But when you tell a story about a period, you sort of hope that people will read it and see the mistakes that were made. For instance, one of the big mistakes is the mistake of allowing hereditary democracy to come in, so that you've got a kind of democratic feudalism across the country now. You have states that are ruled by political parties that are family businesses. And this is a very unhealthy development. And, this is the story of how it began, because the first heir, really, to take power was Rajiv. Indira Gandhi was chosen by the Congress party in a totally different way. In fact, actually, the idea of writing the book came to me the night that Rajiv was killed. And the Congress party, which is our oldest and biggest political party, decided that their tallest leader was Sonia Gandhi. And I was completely astounded, because I knew her quite well then, and I knew that she didn't even speak Hindi properly, that she had no interest in politics, and that she really had a contempt for Indian politicians. And suddenly, this party's working committee, which was constituted by former chief ministers and cabinet ministers, decided that none of them was capable of ruling India, and that the only person capable of ruling India was Sonia Gandhi. To me, that was so shameful as an Indian that I think that it was that night that I decided to write this book one day. It's actually, if I'd written it earlier, it may not have been so important. I think it's more important today than it would have been if I'd written it 20 years ago, because you then had the exact copy of what happened in Delhi repeated in Patna when Lalu Yadav was sent to prison, and his wife was dragged out of the kitchen literally, yeah, and said, "You will become Chief Minister of Bihar." And after that, there's been no looking back, you know. I mean, in Tamil Nadu, you've got the Karunanidhis. In Andhra, you have NTR's family. In, I mean, which state? And you have now the family of YSR. You've got in Kashmir, UP, Punjab. To me, these are very unhealthy developments. No, it's a story about the beginning of dynasty. It's a story about Rajiv's period, really. And it's because I used to cover Punjab and Kashmir in great detail. It is, I hope, a way to show that these problems were needlessly created, and they were created by amateurs, by people who didn't know that they would end up in power. You know, so these problems got created, and they stay with us till this day. No, that's exactly the point I'm making, that if Sonia Gandhi is the most powerful leader in India, right, it's a very grave comment on the state of political leadership in this country. Not just in Delhi. This Durbar is not just about, I mean, in the book it's about Delhi, but, you know, I mean, you have, because you've now adopted this sort of Durbar system of ruling, you know, a colonial feudal system of ruling, you know, you've thrown up no political leaders. Political leaders have to be thrown up by political processes. And when you have dynasties and ruling political parties, you sort of cut off that political process. Well, you know what the word Durbar means? It means a court, right? So it's a book about what's gone wrong with Indian democracy, and I believe what's really gone wrong with Indian democracy is that it's been ruled as if, you know, you have a court in Delhi, and now you have courts, similar courts in the state capitals. If you look around the younger MPs in Parliament, nearly all of them are there only because they have a daddy or a mummy who helped them get there. You know, these are very unhealthy developments. And, you know, now that you've got a huge middle class, let's hope they start protesting against this. Because actually the country we've created since independence is a pretty shabby country when you compare it to other countries. You know, and let's not start talking about Pakistan and Bangladesh. But look east of us. You know, Southeast Asia looks better. Countries that were way behind us have gone ahead of us in terms of literacy, in terms of healthcare, urbanization. So, you know, these are very serious problems that we're not addressing, and I believe we're not addressing them because we've got this kind of hereditary democracy.